All right, everyone. Welcome to the lunch break here at Fish North Georgia, FNGO Monday. Hope you guys had an absolutely fantastic weekend. And we're also airing on TikTok. I see Tyler's joined right there, and we'll give you guys some second for some of you guys to jump on our YouTube and Facebook. Hey, guys, I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Long weekend. Everybody partied safely and enjoyed it. You know, the Independence Day weekend, the long weekend. See all you guys out there on TikTok. Hey, listen, I hope everything was safe. We're going to go over a few things before we get into our topics for today's lunch break. So first of all, guys, listen, I don't know if you heard, but there were several accidents, okay, that happened, boating accidents that happened here in Georgia, I'm sure. What's up, Cam? Over the holiday weekend, boat explosions. I believe there was one on Lake Lanier. There was one down on the Altamaha River, and there was one on Lake Notley. And I know there were some injuries on Lake Notley. And Fishers of Hope, our sponsor for the live well, is throwing a benefit tournament. So I want to go ahead and get that out first and foremost, okay? Get that out real quick. He sent me this information. I'm sure if you go on Facebook, Fishers of Hope, what's up, Silver Punk? Fishers of Hope, you'll get all the information. But Casting for the Millers, a benefit bass tournament on Lake Notley, hosted by Fishers of Hope, supporting the Miller family after a tragic boating accident. Okay, so it's going to be the 17th on Lake Notley at Poteet Creek Boat Ramp. Launch time is 3 p.m. No parking fee for anybody. It's a $60 per boat tournament, two-person teams, 5-fish limit, 12-inch minimum. All the proceeds will go directly to the Miller family to assist with medical expenses and recovery support. And what's up, all you guys, and all you guys over there on TikTok? So listen, guys, we talk about Fishers of Hope all the time and what they do. And this is one, and it's very short notice. It's in 2 weeks. But you guys, if you can be around Lake Notley, definitely, you want to go help them out. And also, too, if you can't, reach out to Tony at 706-897-7557 and see if there is a way that you can maybe donate some money, okay? Ron Swinford on YouTube says, yeah, it was a tough weekend on some of the state waters. Also had a barge shooting fireworks over in Alabama catch on fire. I saw that too, Chris Bowers. And, again, all you guys over there on TikTok. So, yeah, tough, absolutely tough. And I know these were teenagers, I believe, with the Miller family up there, and don't know what happened. Don't even want to speculate what happened. Still, they're going to throw a tournament 2 weeks on Lake Notley here in Georgia. Actually, see if you guys can, if you can help out, please help out. Go fish that. And so that's definitely a good thing. Took care of that today. Now, also, too, before we get into our comments, want to congratulate Wilpatron. Hello from Central Illinois, not Chicago. Yeah, anything that's not Chicago is good right there. So I'll keep checking over here on the TikTok, make sure we can get any questions. You guys can throw out some questions as well for us once we get into that, or answer some of these questions I've got for you guys. But anyway, congrats to Cooper Moon and Carson Holbert for winning the 2025 Abu Garcia High School Fishing National Championship on Grand Lake. That's a couple boys from over Cartersville area here in North Georgia. And, guys, that's a hell of an accomplishment. I believe there was 400 boats, and they won it all. And so a couple of young high school anglers that are going to be definitely shaking up the waves here as we go. This day in history, you know, I always give you guys something to kind of think about today. In 1898, the U.S. annexed, however the hell you want to say it, annexed Hawaii on this date in 1898. And that became a state August 21st, 1959, for those that were keeping score right there. So anyway, you guys know how this show works. Sitting on the toilet or something like that, anything I go across X, Twitter, however you want to call it, come up with an idea. And I saw one today, and it really got me thinking. And you guys on TikTok, I hope you join in on this. Here's the question for you guys today. If you were president for one day, you were the president, and you could put out an executive order to get rid of something, to add something, whatever it would be, what would you do? What would be your executive order? And you guys in the comment section, you guys on TikTok, if you're watching, feel free to put it in there. I'd like to know what you guys would want to get rid of. Now, we know it seems like here in recent memory, with all the presidents, I guess, from Bush and all, they're all doing executive orders. Coleman Jones got one right here. He says, get rid of the BS ad valorem tax every time you buy a car. That's a good one. That's a good one. Now, I don't know if you could do that on a national level. I guess you could. Alex says mandatory boater's license to operate a vessel. Hey, that might work. Daniel Bavery, what's up, buddy? Propaganda is illegal. Propaganda is illegal. That would be a tough one. Silverpunk, eliminate sales tax. I get that. I get that. Now, it seems like a lot of that stuff. How would you get rid of propaganda? How would you get rid of propaganda? Because that would be a tough one. Coleman Jones says paying sales tax on every car every time it's bought is crazy. You can hypothetically pay more in taxes than the car is worth. Yeah. Yeah. Now I like this one from Ron Swinford, and we'll get into the fishing talk here in a little bit, guys. But I like this. I would institute term limits on the Congress and on the Senate. I like it. What would your term limit be, Ron? Out of curiosity, what would it be? How long, and would it be different for Congress, for the House and the Senate, or the same across? And nonviolent offenders. Cam, I like this one. Nonviolent offenders get their Second Amendment rights back after time is served. That's a good one. That's absolutely a good one. Ron says 2 terms for each. Man, it seems like we're having a election every other day anyway, so I get that. Daniel says likely impossible, dips into free speech and would take the honor system, unfortunately. That's the big thing. That's the big thing. How many people would start screaming? I mean, I'll tell you this, guys, just on Facebook, on our Facebook group page, if somebody puts something that goes against community standards, we get the hit. So when I message them and say, hey, listen, you can't say that kind of stuff. Every time everybody's like, First Amendment, freedom of speech, all this. And I'm like, guys, you don't really understand what you're watching anyway. It's kind of or what you're thinking about when it comes to the First Amendment. It doesn't apply to everything. It used to be that they could get their rights back after the sentence is served, Mike. I do think, now, of course, Cam, you're talking about felony. You're talking about you got to have a felony, and they do take away your right to own a gun, and there's other ones right there. But I do believe you can petition. And Alex just said this right there. Felons can get their Second Amendment right back. Lots of red tape, but they have the opportunity. You're going to have to put a little work in to do that for sure. But it's an interesting thing. Fred Ashcraft, make schools mandatory, teach classes on how to handle money and godly principles back in our school. Hey, I like it. That is something. Now, listen, I went to school back in the what's up, John G? I went to school back in the 80s, high school and all that. And I do remember we used to have to take a civics class. We took civics. We took home ec, took shop, all of them things that you don't see in school anymore, but just how to understand credit, like a financial course. And I think some schools are bringing that back, but I do understand what you're saying, making that mandatory. Coleman says, make all speed limits plus 10 to 15 miles an hour, whatever they are now, except school zones. Because ain't nobody paying attention to them anyway. So I absolutely get that. Those are all some good suggestions. But what about like on a big national level? Like, something that really rocked the world. Like, would you get rid of the IRS? If you could change the taxes, would you make it a flat tax? Y'all need to come up to Bell's Family Pharmacy for lunch. It is good. The freedom of speech is great, but people think that means freedom from the consequences of that speech. You are free to say what you want, but that does not mean that you don't face a penalty for doing it. Absolutely, Ron. And I don't think people understand that. I don't think people at all understand that fact right there. And it's funny. There's just some things you can't say on Facebook, or they're going to flag it. And the problem is they'll flag the page. And boy, they get mad when I say, hey, listen, you can't say that. We want you to debate. We want you to say things, but you can't just say, hey, I'm gonna kick your ass. There's things like that you can't say. Silverpunk, get rid of the IRS and the Federal Reserve. Yeah, see, big things like that. And what do you guys think about the Epstein stuff? All of a sudden now there's nothing. How long have we heard? We've been hearing that there's going to be all this list released, and there's nothing. Apparently, I don't know. A public vote on increasing the debt limit. That would be smart. Now, all of them damn alphabet agencies. So the problem with okay, so here's where a lot of people kind of don't understand. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say this right. I'm going to give you the broad stroke. We don't technically live in a democracy. We live in a republic. We vote for representatives to go make the votes for us. If you wanted a true democracy, that means we the people would vote on every single thing. Now, we can't get guys to do, take out the trash, much less vote on every single thing. They just won't do it. They won't do it. But I get what you're saying. Maybe on certain things, a public vote, I don't know. I would, if I had an executive order, and I'm a big Second Amendment guy, I think I would make it across the board, whatever it is that I wanted to choose across the board. But then you get into the states versus federal issues and all that. And I understand that. But I think there could be the problem is, like, you can't go into California and do what you do in Texas. You can't do in California or Colorado what you do in Georgia. And it becomes confusing. Or how about this? Since we're all fishermen here, a national fishing license that covers every single state. And then they can divvy it up. Maybe they come up with a solution on how to divvy it up based upon how many licenses come out of a particular state. I don't know. Ron Swinford said the other thing would be to limit big money going into elections. Companies realize the best investments they can make is buying a congressman or a senator a seat. That is a 30 to 40 year investment. Ron Swinford's coming out today big time with the and guys, for those that don't know Ron's he's very interested in the politics, especially on the local level. But that makes sense. If you could do an executive order, and you guys on TikTok, throw it in there in the comment section. If you could do an executive order, if you're president for one day, and you could do your own executive order for whatever it is, what would it be? Alex Purr says, ban wake boats, ski boats, and pontoons nationwide. Never seen a fishing boat drive up over a courtesy dock. You guys that were on the lakes this weekend, and I was not. There was no way in hell I was going on any of them lakes. But if you guys were on the lakes this weekend, did you see anything like that other than what we saw like on social media? There are sure enough some idiots that go out on these holiday weekends and rent a boat and think that it's like driving a car. And yeah, them things don't have brakes. That's the big thing. Boats don't have brakes, people. And don't look at it from an angler's point of view. We all know what they do when we're fishing a point and they go between us and a point and all that. We get that. But think about just some of the stupid stuff that you see out there on the water. No tax on overtime permanent, Nathan Owen said. Then Cam says, yeah, I have 3 different state licenses, a land-based shark fishing certificate in Florida, and a boater's ed for Alabama. Listen, when we go film wherever it is for the Real American Road Trip, I got to have a fishing license in those states. And what's funny is Chris McClure, what's up, buddy? See, won't you come see me, buddy? I ain't seen you in a while. He's on TikTok watching us today. Seriously, every one of them start and end at a different time. That's kind of my thing. And then, of course, if I was a professional angler, and we know those guys who are out there that all of a sudden forgot that their fishing licenses had expired when they're on the water, hey, it's the way it is. Pontoon Jody, oh, Lord, there goes lunch break. Happy Monday, everyone. Pontoon Jody, I love it when you jump on with us. Fred Ashcraft says, flat taxes across the board, national hunting and fishing license, sport players pay cap, increase any first responders and teachers pay instead. Okay, Fred, I get that. We all see the money that professional athletes make, but I'm a little different with that because I'm telling you what, they bring in the money. They ain't making, listen, Ohtani ain't making $1 billion or whatever he's making because somebody just wanted to pay it. It's because he's bringing in $1 billion. I do agree to you that first responders and teachers pay needs to go up a lot. But I'm kind of, when I hear people say about sports people making so much money and somebody says they're not worth $700 million. Actually, in that business, they are. They definitely are, because they're not going to give them money, and not, them owners ain't going to pay them that kind of money and not get it back. And I know you understand that, Fred. But I do agree, in our society, the people that do not get paid enough are teachers. If they're teaching the right stuff, maybe it should be merit-based. Teachers, cops, firemen, the military. I think an 18-year-old kid that signs up that could possibly go fight for our nation and die, they ought to get paid a ton more than what they get paid. And then I think you'd get more people going into it. Alabama's weird. No matter where you get it, when you get it, it expires in August. Yeah, Alabama, their fishing licenses, that makes no sense. You can buy it June 1st, and on August 1st, you got to get a brand new one. John G. Wilson, I fished and floated the Flint River with Marshall Stamps on the 4th. There were about 30 other kayaks and canoes out there, and everybody was super nice to each other. Really enjoyed it, because you kayak guys are great. Danny, have you ever tried to get the Georgia DNR on to talk about fishing, about Georgia fishing? Yes, and here's the problem I found when you go to the DNR. Say I talk to Ranger X over here and say, hey, man, I want you to come on our podcast. Well, Ranger X has to go talk to his superior and get permission, and that superior has to go to that's another one, and you have to go through this layer of onions just to get the guy at the bottom of the totem pole to be allowed to talk. I actually have had that conversation. I don't know that it's worth some of the pain in the ass doing it. Pontoon Jody says, my daughter is 28 and already has her doctorate in education and an assistant principal. She makes bank. Well, Pontoon Jody, you and I must parent very similar, you and my wife, because my oldest is 30. She's got her PhD, and she is now a college professor at Chowan, a small college in North Carolina. From the time she was 4, pre-K, she went straight through, went to Young Harris, got her bachelor's, went to Bernal, got her master's, and then got her PhD at Liberty. I always said she was a career student, but now she's actually getting paid. So that's awesome. And I tell you what, my other daughter is a nurse, TICU nurse down at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and she makes bank too. Military should get lifetime free health care, not at the VA, but at any doctor. Their VA card should be their insurance. I like that idea, Ron, and I agree with you. Cameraman Cletus calls me onion breath. What's up, Cletus? I put the hammer on them at Latham yesterday. Me and Chris were the only guys on the water for the first hour or so of the day. It was nice. Well, Alex, what were you catching them on? And any of you guys that fished this weekend, what was the bite? What was the bite? I just came in and heard Danny talking about onions. Am I the only guy that can take an onion, a little bit of salt, and eat them just like an apple? I like my onions. Steve Guthrie, whacked them on Rocky Mountain Saturday. What were you guys throwing? What were you guys throwing out there? Because I tell you what, I didn't get to fish. I didn't get to fish this weekend. I house set. Titus Williams on TikTok. The river bite was good. Was a good one. The Coosa and the Rocky bite was on fire. There you go. Listen, Rocky Mountain, when Rocky Mountain's on, it's as good as any lake out there. Now, were you in East Antioch or West Antioch? You were throwing, let's see. I'm trying to catch up the comments. Hartwell was on the Blueback Cast Echo 3.5. Spinnerbait up the river, current breaks on Blackshear, Cody Campbell said. A DT-10 and a free rig was what he was catching them on over there at Rocky. Alex Purse says, Shaky Head Nico did most of the damage. Honorable mention to the spot choker. For you guys that don't know, that's an underspin. I caught my first 3 on the underspin. Coleman said, I put out my first YouTube my first YouTube video on it with my new camera. Congratulations, Coleman. Zach Estes, Middle Tennessee on TikTok. Now, when you say Middle Tennessee, are you asking if anybody fished Middle Tennessee? Titus said that's exactly what I was throwing, a free rig and a deep diver. So you guys over there at Rocky, hey, if you're going to Rocky today, throw a free rig and a deep diver. That's what the guys were catching them on. Oh, no, he goes, I heard you say Antioch. No. So Zach Estes, we got a couple of smaller lakes over here, public fishing areas over in Rome, Georgia, just north of Rome. And there's basically two lakes that are combined, and one is East Antioch, one is West Antioch. So that's it. And then they got a trophy lake. But if you guys are in Tennessee and you fished Antioch, let us know how the bite is up there. Mike Geiger. And listen, guys, if I missed your comment, put it again because there's a bunch going on and I'm watching two different platforms. Mike Geiger says, you couldn't have paid me to get out on the lake this weekend. 100%. Titus said we caught a few at the trophy lake. So that was Heath Lake. So Heath Lake was open this weekend. Cletus said he caught him on a buzzbait with a 4-inch Prodigy. You caught it at Watery this past weekend, old school Braden buzzing. What the hell's Watery? Swinford's going fishing tomorrow at Tuna. I hope you catch him. John, last Golden Boy 305. John Sarah is the man when it comes to baits, a master baiter, if you will. Zach Asti says, oh, okay, I live by Percy Priest. Antioch surrounds it. It's just south of Nashville. Okay. All right. Well, listen, we love when guys from other states join us. Right now we got some from Illinois watching, Tennessee watching. Let's see here. Cody Campbell caught some flipping a big old living rubber jig recently too. Living rubber in the summertime. There you go. A lot of people only throw that in the winter. Easton Stanley on TikTok. Trophy Lake yesterday. Caught them on an old monster. Big fish was 5.75. That old monster works, guys. And you know what's funny? Easton, you said that. Because here in the shop, everybody wants to go with the big trick worm. We do not get people talking about the old monsters as much as we should. They've always caught fish, and they will continue to always catch fish. Let's see. Fred Ashcraft fished Thursday and Friday on the lower Ogeechee River, caught flipping 3-inch pit boss early. And Alex Perk, John, was your ears ringing. Yeah, big bait, John. We just talked about you, buddy. Fred Ashcraft, this is a good break in a 12-hour workday. Hey, that's what we're here for. We're just here to bullshit. You guys know how it works. Titus says, hey, keep that in your pocket. Can't have everyone throwing it out there. Well, Titus, you put it on social media, buddy. That's my job. That's my job. I'm trying to help everybody catch more fish. Wait, what? Tournament yesterday. 22 pound, 16 pound, 15 pound, 15. We had 14 Yamamoto creature baits for us. Now, wait, what? I'm trying to remember this. Are we talking Maryland again? Isn't it Maryland where you're from or right up in there? Cody Campbell, that runner glows in dirty water, in my opinion. It was so dirty I couldn't see the bottom. The bottom of his scope transducer. Good Lord. Good Lord. Zach Estes, I'm in North Michigan on Lake Superior visiting family right now. I haven't went fishing yet, though. Hey, listen, when we went and filmed in Michigan, we stayed in Glen Arbor. We fished the Crystal River for salmon, did some trolling on Lake Michigan. There was another lake, Little Bear Lake, that we did where we went perch fishing. I'm telling you what, North Michigan, I've said this, guys, to everybody here at the shop. If I were single and did not have any family attachment to North Georgia, I could live in Northern Michigan. Now, I was there in September, and I haven't really spent a winter time up in that, but you get you a big girl, snuggle up during the winter time. But the fishing was amazing. I absolutely love Northern Michigan. I wouldn't go to Detroit or nothing like that, but I'd definitely go up that way. Traverse City area too. We went up there. And what's that river? Oh, crud. I went with Brad Kosminski of North. Anyway, he guided us there. The Manistee River. We went up there, did a 2-day float on that. Let's see. Gone fishing with Ed. Fished the Okmulgee River with a buddy yesterday, and we killed them. Landed 20-plus shoalies, a couple of 19-inchers too. And Pontoon Jody says the catfishing was fantastic this weekend. So it sounds like you guys all did good, which is a positive thing. Now, did you notice it was a little bit cooler this weekend? Did that help? It was still hot as hell, but not oppressively hot. Cam's supposed to get Bill Payne on our boat this Saturday to help dial in our SIDIM properly. I told him that you sent me. Well, thank you. Bill Payne, if any of you guys ever get a chance to fish with Bill Payne, first of all, he knows everything. But he's not cocky like that. The man knows everything. He is the sweetest individual that I've ever had the pleasure of having on our podcast. And I've had a lot of great, fantastic people. But Bill Payne, he's right there at the top. Did you see the Thompson boat ramp got demolished? Cliff said, yeah, dude, listen, I saw that. I saw that. And again, it goes back to people not knowing what the hell they're doing when they get in a boat. Did you guys see Kaz Anderson's? Okay, all right, how about this? Eric Bastian on TikTok. I was born and raised in Calumet, Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula. Dude, I loved it up there. We spent 2 weeks up there. And I did not realize that cherries and potatoes and peaches were a big export. They call it God's country, and I understand why. We call it God's country down here, but there's so many similarities to North Georgia and Northern Michigan. Other than Northern Michigan is flat. We got some hills. But yeah, Jim Wright's boat's in the shop, bad charging system. Now, did you take it to Sonar Pros? You got to take it to Sonar Pros. That dude ran all up in Kaz's ass. That's what I was going to say. Did you guys see Kaz Anderson's? Look, they get an average of about 300 to 400 inches of snow a year. Yeah, but you just got to find that big girl. You got to find you a big girl and get through the wintertime. And if you women are watching, I'm sorry. I'm just joking. That's just a Southern boy's way of saying find you a good woman. But yeah, Kaz was sitting there listening. And Kaz don't have a temper. For any of you guys that ever follow him or seen him on our podcast, no, Kaz Anderson he's as laid back as could be. But he did not like that boat coming on him about 50 miles an hour, bumping him like that. Let's see. We keep getting rain. It keeps keeping the Flint in the upper 70s, pretty good condition. I've never fished the Flint River, and I want to. So bad. So bad. I want to go down there. I want to do an episode of the Real American Road Trip with a bunch of kayak guys going down there chasing shoalies. And then we've been offered to come go down there and film on the Altamaha for the catfish, that big catfish tournament they have every year. Pontoon Jody, you might can come down there and do that. No, his is still under warranty. Took it back to, and I can't even pronounce that. I'm going to try. Salaquaga Marine. Did I even come close to that? Salaquaga? That definitely sounds like an Indian name right there. But it sounds to me, though, like you guys that actually went out on the water, the fishing was really good. I caught a shoalie on the midsection of Blackshear recently. Pretty cool. I've not caught a shoal bass. And I know I could go up here to the Chattahoochee River coming out of no, I'm not even close, Jim Wright. Sorry, I tried. One day you can tell me how to say it. Hell, I done forgot what I was talking about. That'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. Pontoon Jody said, I got jumped at the boat ramp this weekend because I didn't wait for everyone to use it single file. I said, have you never seen a 2-lane ramp? Not my fault. You can't handle your watercraft. Sly Kaga, Bronzeville. I guess. My bad. You guys know I can't do this. I consider shoal bass the Georgia smallmouth river bass. Going fishing with that. Yeah. Cliff spent the 4th down in Destin on the beach. Didn't fish much, but sure enjoyed the sights. I bet you did. Cliff. My wife might be watching, so I'm not going to even go on what sites you were watching. But I'm kind of surprised that a lot of you guys were catching fish, if we're being honest. And like I said, I had a house sit for my son. Phil Hutchins said that Pontoon Jody catfishing had a similar issue with a paddle boarder using a ramp on the river for over 30 minutes while myself and others were trying to take out. Boat ramp etiquette, we talk about it at least once or twice a year. Boat ramp etiquette is definitely lacking, but boat ramp experience is lacking as well. And that goes to people that, hey, I think I'm going to go buy a boat. Okay, well, let's see. What do they do? Either they're on the boat. I tell you what, we watched this. We had a tournament, and I forget which one it was, but there was a guy in a big, huge, a big one, cabin cruiser type boat. And so he's in the back, and he's having his wife, bless her heart, back that trailer, and they're trying to load the boat. He'd come up crooked and he'd start yelling at his wife. Well, hell, she had the trailer in the water. This guy was just raising Cain. So he'd back off. She'd back it. She'd come in, come up, go back in. This went on, guys. I'm not lying, for 30 minutes. And the reality was it was the husband's fault. The woman, it took her a while to get it in there, but she eventually got it in there, and his ass couldn't pull that boat up there for nothing. You could tell they had no experience whatsoever with, number one, a boat that size, number two, backing it in, and definitely had no experience with a bass tournament trying to take out at the same time, because there was 400 boats sitting there waiting on this guy, and so the pressure was on, and they absolutely they wet the bed. And then, bless his heart, when he finally pulled up, he clipped somebody else's trailer, or she clipped somebody else's trailer and tore their trailer up. If you guys, I think it was an Electric Bass Opens tournament. You guys, if you fish with me on Electric Bass Opens, you might recognize that, what I'm talking about. Danny, I'll take you down to the Flint anytime you're ready. Well, hell, I don't fish. I run a tackle shop and talk about fishing, but I'd love to go. Hickory Log wasn't busy at all. I was shocked. I would be too. I strongly recommend the boater safety course, even if not required in your state. I learned a lot from it. Me and my wife laugh at people at the boat ramp every time we go. Yeah, it's some good people watching, especially the first warm weekend of every spring. Hey, let's get the boat out. Now, also too, I feel bad sometimes for when somebody has a major bass tournament. Especially, not everybody's boat ramps have a ton of parking, right? Not everything's Laurel Park over here on Lake Lanier. So you got a father and a son, and he wakes up on a Saturday, and he's like, hey, buddy, you want to go fishing? Yeah, Dad, let's go. So they load up. He has the thing, pulls in there, and every parking spot is took. People are putting boats in and out, and you don't know how many times I've seen that dad just turn right around and leave. We ain't even messing with that. Cody Campbell, last 4th of July, this guy had a pontoon and ended it up sideways on the ramp, taking up both lanes for about 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, seen it. I'll second John on that. I have my boat on Blackshear right now if you want to hop on. Let's see if we can figure out. I got to go to ICAST. I'm going to be down at ICAST next week, and we'll talk about that more as the week goes on. I'll be down at ICAST with Digital Sportsman in their booth. All the podcast guys that normally work with us, they're going to be down there, except for the couple whose wives wouldn't let them go. You know who you are. I'm just playing with you. But we're going to be down there, and when I get back, then we got to figure out when we're going to film, do the next few episodes of the TV show, get that going. But if I can absolutely get in there and get down with you guys, I want to catch a shoal bass. I know I could go up here to Chattahoochee, just north of Lanier. We got a few, but I think it's just a little bit different going down to South Georgia. And since the fine people at Westbrook gave me a kayak, I still haven't been on it yet. I need to get that kayak on the water. We need to set up a live feed from one of the larger ramps on a holiday weekend. $1 to view. You could retire at all the fishermen are watching and laughing. Ron, now you're thinking. I'm all about making some money. We'll figure that out. The Porcos ain't got hectic yet because of the pleasure boaters. And listen, we could talk for 5 hours on pleasure boaters. You guys know we could. Was all your ramps slick this weekend? You could hear everyone's tires barking all the way up, sometimes 5 times before they got it up. Well, Pontoon Jody, I do know that up in Tennessee, I've been to a couple of your ramps up there. Y'all's ramps are steep, at least the ones I've been to. Like in the river, I think we went fishing. I think it was on Nickajack, and we put in with a cat fisherman out of Jasper. He took us up there to catfish. And hell, that ramp was like 45 degrees or something. It was the steepest ramp. Here, we have a few ramps that are kind of like that, but not too many. Most of them are all, they're all pretty level. I think Stamp Creek might be a little steep, but not really. You guys that are watching, if you're on TikTok and you join us, y'all got any steep ramps where you guys fish? Go to Spruill Bluff, Danny, on the Flint. Guys, I'll go wherever the hell y'all take me. We need to do that. I'll get Josh to come down there. What I want to do an episode of the Real American Road Trip where we do a guys' weekend again. We go down. The fishing part of the TV show will be on the Flint River for the shoal bass. And then we'll go into a town somewhere down there That's, we got to do the eating and the drinking and all that stuff too in the culture. So we got to set it up to where it's got all of that. Carter's or Notley has some steep ramps. Yeah. The ramp at Carter's re-reg is pretty steep, ain't it? Yeah, that sucks. Cody Campbell says Goat Rock Lake over on the Alabama border has ramps that are ridiculously steep. Murray Cove ramp, Randy Callahan says on Burton. I haven't been to that one yet. Go to Piggy Park in Thomason. Oh, it's a barbecue place. Okay, I was going to say, what the hell is Piggy Park? But yeah, we could do that. But we got to make an episode. Most on We Dowie, I know that's the way you're supposed to say it, are steep, Jim. Smith Lake has some bad ramps. I guess, they got them. That's up in Alabama. Here in Georgia on Lanier, most of them are pretty easy. I don't consider the ones on Hickory Log or Latham to be steep. The biggest problem with ramps here, Pontoon Jody, is not so much the steepness. It's when you're loading in the morning, and there's always that guy that forgets to turn his lights off, or it's his first time ever fishing a tournament, and he doesn't turn his lights off. That's really the only time I see a lot of guys around here get kind of perturbed, if you want to say it nicely like that. So that kind of goes back to the etiquette. I do know, like on these lakes where, and this is not the fishing guys. Very rarely is it the fishing guys in the kayak, but people that are pleasure boating or pleasure kayaking, lots of times they will absolutely just offload their kayak right there in the middle of the ramp, then pull their boat up. Then they'll get all their stuff they'll pull their trailer up. Then they'll get all the stuff out of their truck and then put it in their kayak and everything while people are kind of waiting. That kind of irritates people a little bit. Can't stand the headlight guys. I'm telling you, if you want to see a fight, there's probably more sniping at a tournament about headlights than there are about other things. That's what we hear people fuss all the time. Cameraman Cletus says, I leave my headlights on to establish I'm blind as shit in the dark. Darian in South Georgia can do a fishing, fresh and saltwater fish days in great places to make the eating part of the show. Hey, we need to do that. You need to see if we can help set up something like that. I need to get in touch with your your Chamber of Commerce's, your tourism boards, stuff like that. See if they can help pay you. Anything helps. My first tournament, I did it by myself. I didn't turn my lights off. Titus says, hey, we're all guilty of it. Everybody's first time. You're guilty of it. But it is one of those unwritten rules that you quickly learn when you're fishing a tournament. You turn those headlights off when you're backing down. Recreational kayakers are just as bad as pleasure boaters. Now, you guys have heard me talk about this story before, though. Hickory Log, me and William are fishing. Electric only tournament. We're fishing this little rock. If you guys know Hickory Log, you know that big, right there as you go around the island, there's that point, and then you got that rock kind of deep right there where the power line is. And we're chunking worms right up there against that thing, letting them sink. And this was back closer to COVID. So the Orange Armada, you guys know what that is. I said everybody went to Walmart and bought the Walmart orange kayak. The lake was full of them. But here come a guy and a couple. Here come a couple down. And all I'm going to say is this. What's that chick on, what's that Colombian chick that everybody thinks is really, really good looking? Sophia, whatever her name is. You guys know the one I'm talking about. I can't even pronounce her last name. Never even got to her name. But you guys know what I'm talking about, that chick. So his wife was looked like her, and was dressed like her in a bathing suit. And he was coming on the backside of us, giving us room. She was coming in between. Sophia Vergara, that's her, Alex, that's her name. So she was coming in between us and the bank. And he is throwing out, and this guy he was as white as I am. Okay. Speaking of headlights. Yeah. So he was as white as I am, but he was throwing out stuff in Spanish to her. And she just was oblivious to everything. And she came right in front of us. And I'm going to tell you, it's the one time in my life, me and William both did not get mad at a kayaker, a pleasure kayaker, cutting us off from a spot. And as the husband went by, he goes, guys, I'm sorry. I tried to tell her. And of course, we're like, no, man, it's okay. Oh, hey, understand, not a problem. And as she went by, William just looked at me and he's like, well, I didn't have that on my bingo card today. And I'm like, no, but hey, bingo right there, baby. So it just depends on the pleasure kayaker like that. Um, Sometimes it works out in your favor. Now, we didn't catch any fish because our minds spun out. We were wrong for the rest. We just had to move. So I can cut y'all off if I show you my boobs. Got it. No, Alex, you can't because you don't look like Sofia Vergara. Or basically, you don't look like anything other than the Wolfman. You can't do that. I don't want to see you without a shirt on. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Now, Pontoon Jody, I know you're the female watching this. Forgive me. Forgive us men. It's just very hard, and it was an experience. You're going to hate me because I love headlights. What about the 12-pound and the 3 fish last weekend on Allatoona? Did not know about that. That's a good bag. Did you guys see Slick Johnson? I just caught a little bit of it. And I'm friends with Slick. So, sometimes I know that what he says, he's not meaning to be serious, but I only caught a little bit of the video, and then my wife yelled at me, but he was like, why can't we do 3 fish tournaments during the summertime? Here's my take on that. I get it. Fish care and all that. Oh, Pontoon Jody says, it's just nipples. Everyone has a pair. We do. However, it's that delivery system, Pontoon Jody, on which they reside that changes the ball game. It's all about the delivery system. Because I promise you, if I come by with my shirt off, and I'm a solid B cup, probably getting close to a C. I need to go on a diet. You guys know I keep talking about going on a diet, but I'm a solid B cup. It ain't gonna impress nobody. It ain't gonna impress anybody at all. Okay, I promise you that. But if Sofia Vergara came by, that's a little bit different. It's all about the delivery system. I chafed mine this weekend on a 7-mile run, and I've never felt like less of a man. Cameraman Cletus, you know why I quit? Listen, I played high school baseball. I blew out my knee. I had a chance to play low-level college baseball, not no high-level, low-level college baseball. But I blew out my knee, goofing off in the gym, dunking off. Remember them back in the 80s, we used to have to jump on them damn boxes. Our weight training coach made us jump on them boxes to make us jump higher and go faster. And I blew out my knee dunking on a basketball goal. Had to have surgery. So I went immediately into beer league softball. And I played beer league softball till after my third son was born, my third child, my son was born, and my wife finally said, because I played like 4 nights a week and every weekend. One of the 2 reasons why I ended up retiring. Quit. First of all, my wife said she'd had enough of that crap, taking kids to softball parks, to all the parks on hot weekends and all that. She wasn't doing it anymore. So that was the biggest reason. But the second reason was because when I was around first, I done drunk so much beer at that point. As I rounded first, my mind was thinking I'm going to second. My body kept bouncing straight towards the foul line fence. I could not turn as quick as I used to. Your rod would go from medium light to extra heavy fast. Coleman. Now, okay, Pontoon Jody, listen. You brought it up. I didn't bring it up. As a female angler, you'd be surprised at how often you're propositioned over your chest. I'm not even going to touch that. Because I know guys like Clint and all that do that all the time. Atlanta Outdoors. I'd love to play in a league around coming. Buddy, I tell you what, you would have loved to have played in the 90s when all there was fighting going around. It was a fight all the time. My workplace voted for volleyball. Who the hell plays volleyball? Who has a men's league volleyball? Why would you do that? Back in the 90s, we played beer league softball. We had the red solo cups out in the outfield with us. And I got kicked out of plenty of games. I was, no, I don't like the Savannah Bananas. I'm a purist when it comes to ball. Pervs watching the young girls is co-ed. Okay, co-ed volleyball. I get it. But Carson, this is exactly where I'm getting ready to tell you. I've seen the church league softball teams fight. So They used to call me Pitbull because I was like 5'7", but I played with guys that were big as Ryan Sheffield, and I ran my mouth like crazy. But I got kicked out of more church league softball games than any of the other things I've ever been kicked out. Easily church league softball. Because back in Forsyth County back in the day, I believe all you had to do to play church league was you had to go to church once a quarter. And if you went to church once a quarter, you were eligible to play on the church league softball team. So everybody had ringers. You know, none of them guys, they all did their quarterly church visit just so they could play on the softball team. It was absolutely fantastic back in the day. I'm always propositioned over my chest, especially by Daddy, Cletus says. I just like seeing you bounce it, dude. I like seeing you bounce it. I one time listened, and I believe this gentleman just passed away. God rest his soul. But I went to school with Mr. Smith's daughter, and I'll get to that title. I went to school with Mr. Smith's daughter, and I used to chew in tobacco. And her dad, Mr. Smith, was an umpire. Jimmy was his name, Jimmy Smith. And I was running the first, trying to beat a play out. And he called me out, and I was mad. I had a big wad of chewing tobacco, and I grabbed it, and I was going to throw it and spin and just throw it at the fence. I was a butthole back in the day. But I turned too far when I let it go. And guys, you know what I'm talking about, that slow motion. I just watched it. The second it left my hand, here goes this big wad, just woof, woof, woof. And it hit that man right square in the chest. Like, guys, understand this. I'd gone to church with him pretty much my entire teenage life. He goes, Danny Pruitt. And I'm like, oh, Jimmy. I didn't mean to do it, buddy. I'm so sorry. He didn't kick me out of the game, but I did. I hit him right in the chest with a big wad of chewing tobacco. Did you ever play in the BBQ? In the barbecue? I did play down at Country Club, the softball country club down in Decatur, where it was 4 fields and then a bar in the middle. And they didn't sell beer by the drink. They sold it by these little pitchers. It was basically a three drink pitcher. Guys, you don't know how many of those pitchers I had in my my closet. So, yeah, we played a lot. But up here in the country, man, you just get in fights all the time because everybody was drinking. I saw a guy one time that was so trashed on, let's just say the guy had taken a lot of stuff to really skew his mental capacity. And he was playing, actually it was down here off Yellow Creek Road, not far from here, little bitty ball field. And he hit one about 400 foot. But this guy was so messed up, he stood at home, he was looking straight up. He thought he popped up. We had to tell him he had to run. But that was back in the days when you could do that. So I don't know how in the hell this episode went from executive orders to Jim Wright played there back in the 90s. Yeah, you know the field I'm talking about then. A little bitty field. Every community had a little field back in the day. The field is hidden. It is. But back in the day, it wasn't. So what you do is you come up here on Saturday and you play a softball tournament, and then you would go to Two Brothers Barbecue up here, and then you would go to the old bargain barn back when, hey, listen, back in the 1990s. Yeah, I know, I'm old, man. You go to the bargain barn and shop, and then you go back and you play your game. So anyway, I don't know how this episode went from executive orders to now we're talking about beer league softball back in the 90s, but you guys know how it works with me. It's like squirrel. And the fishing, you guys that talked about fishing, we actually tried to talk about fishing. It seemed like the bite was really, really good. Now, tomorrow night on the live well, we got Bassmaster Elite Angler Tim Doobie going to be joining us. And he'll be piping in with me and Clint and Alex, and we're going to talk to him about all the things we can talk to him about. Of course, he's got some tournaments coming up, so we can't do that. Sure, usually brought a DD with me because I was going to be trashed when I left. Back in the day, man. Back in the day. What's up, Dylan Akins? I see you on TikTok right there. But anyway, I was going to fuss about health insurance customer service, but I think I'll wait and do that tomorrow because I was on the phone with them for an hour and a half this morning. So we'll save that for tomorrow. So we've gone about 50 minutes. So that's about the usual time. There's a lot of you guys in here. You guys join us tomorrow, and we'll talk about whatever the hell pops into our mind. Atlanta Safe House. See you right there on the on TikTok. Whatever pops into our mind, we'll we'll go with it. We'll talk about fishing. Look over on the group page and see what kind of on the brag board, see what kind of fish are being thrown up there. But you guys that talked about fishing, man, it seemed like it was really, really good. Insurance feels like a scam every time you need it. Yeah, it does. That's not okay. That well, kind of real quick. That's not my point that I was going to make. My point is when you call customer service for health insurance or anything, and this lady was just as sweet as she could be. She was just the nicest lady. I couldn't understand a damn thing she said, though. I couldn't understand her. And she understood everything I said, so she definitely understood North Georgia redneck. But that call took 45 minutes longer than what it should have because I couldn't understand her. We'll probably talk about that more tomorrow, and we'll save that some. So anyway, with that, guys, you guys got to go back to work. So I'm gonna let you guys get back to work. We'll save something. Join us tomorrow, 12 o'clock here. We'll do it every day this week, and of course, we'll talk about something different each and every day. The Braves are off today, so we can't gripe about them. Lord, that'd be, whatever. My company has a call center in Pune, India. I get it. Yeah, that's, you know what I'm talking about. Of course, y'all play volleyball instead of beer league softball. So sounds like your company right there. I understand. So anyway, you guys, I'll take the blame. Everything is Cletus's fault. So you guys that did join us on TikTok, hey, start making this. We're going to do this every day, and we'll build our audience there as well. You guys on YouTube and Facebook, you guys don't know how much it means to me to be able to just get here for an hour every day and just shoot the bull with you guys and really just have fun. That's all this is about. So I'm going to let you guys go, and then we'll see you tomorrow, 12 o'clock. Have a safe rest of your day. Be good. If you're fishing, go catch some fish. Talk to us about tomorrow. So we'll see you on the next one. You guys have a great rest of your day.